It's the worst of the CBC for all time, because this is actually the worst I've ever seen. So this is, yes, June 15th, but no, this is like a Pakistan level of like explosiveness and just how bad it was. So as you know, the worst of the CBC, when I do it after COVID gets over, there runs the Rosemary Barton scale of bias. So 1 is the least bias, 10 Rosemary Bartons is the most biased you could be. The scale is broken. It's like, it's over 9,000. Scouter bursts, the scale is broken. I sent it into the shop. So the Rosemary Barton scale will be out of use for at least a few weeks because it was broken by the Prime Minister of Pakistan and Rosemary Barton working together to undermine the universe. So, there's no way that Rosemary Barton could bring on Imran Khan, the only world leader dumber than Justin Trudeau, to talk about censoring the internet and Islamophobia and have it not make it into a Daniel Boardman video. There's no way. It's just not possible. It is just not possible. This was the worst thing I've ever seen. This is why Rosemary Barton isn't a journalist. This is why my future children, currently, as they exist in some metaphysical sense, are better journalists than Rosemary Barton. My nephew, who might think he's Spider-Man right now, under the age of 3, better journalist than Rosemary Barton, because at least he would ask questions to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, maybe about Spider-Man, but definitely better than Rosemary Barton did. So she just let him say, censor the internet. The big problem is we have these Islamophobia sites. So they're using the pretext to bring of the terrorist attack against the Muslim London family, and this is what drives me mad, though, is the family doesn't deserve this. To be brought into this ridiculous conversation with the Prime Minister of effing Pakistan talking about censoring the internet. Okay, the reason why the family doesn't deserve this is because Pakistan doesn't have the right to talk about anything. Anything they say should not be taken seriously. Nothing they say should have any moral value to anyone who has a brain. Pakistan this current Prime Minister shut down investigations into the widespread kidnapping, rape, abuse, and forced conversions of Christian, Hindu, and Sikh girls. There is an epidemic in Pakistan of girls who are not Muslim being kidnapped, raped, forcibly converted, taken away from their families. There's an epidemic. The minority populations are under siege in Pakistan. Numbers declining by the second. Pakistan doesn't even have anything to see, even on the Muslim front. So, a question you could ask is, literally, Ahmadi Muslims in Pakistan, that's considered blasphemy. They're illegal. They have blasphemy laws. It's illegal to say you're a Muslim if you're Ahmadi. They burn down their mosques all the time. Right? In Pakistan, which is talking about, oh, yes, we must, very serious, and people abusing Muslims. Pakistan covers for the Chinese in their concentration camps full of millions of Muslims. So, Pakistan has worked with the Chinese too. Balochistan itself, more Muslims they oppress. You can talk about Pashtun and all this. But the most famous one we know is the concentration camps in the province of Xinjiang. Pakistan's totally on board with this. Pakistan's totally fine with the Chinese having millions of Muslims in concentration camps. But they freak out when a terrorist kills some Muslims in Canada. So to circle back to my point of I feel so terrible for this family because no one's going to treat them with the respect they deserve, and it sucks that they have to be drawn into this conversation of Pakistan. Why are we listening to Pakistan? Tolerance. Pakistan funds dozens of jihadist groups, biggest one being Hezbollah Mujahideen, Jayat al-Jash, who openly try and murder all the Hindus. And we're listening to this guy who funds murdering sects of minorities, and we're going to listen to him about social justice. Unbelievable. Unfriggin' believable. Rosemary Barton brings on Imran Khan, whose IQ is actually single digits, to talk about this type of stuff. Blows my effing mind. The best part of the whole thing is it ends with Rosemary Barton asking him, so will you be talking to Justin Trudeau about your ideas of censoring the internet and banning Islamic hate speech and blah, blah, blah? And he's like, yes, I've talked to Trudeau before, and let's just say we agree on a lot of things. So Imran Khan was basically, Justin Trudeau and I, Justin Trudeau has the exact same views on free speech as Pakistan. Exact same as Pakistan. That's what the Pakistani Prime Minister came out and said. Pakistan, Canada under Trudeau, holding hands in the terms of censoring the internet. And this is why we can't have nice things. And this is the problem I illustrated like last week over, the sort of the terrorist attack is like, you want to be fully sympathetic and you want to really help the family, but you also will feel guilty because bad actors, not the family, bad actors, in this case, Rosemary Barton and the CBC, will use the tragedy that befell their family and use it as a means to do something unrelated and evil. This way, taking a Prime Minister of Pakistan who actively oppresses, rapes, kidnaps, you name it, minorities, using him to justify taking away the freedoms of Canadians. And we want to stand up for the freedoms of Canadians, but I don't want to be having this battle, not literally, but figuratively. I don't want to be figuratively having this battle over a dead family that doesn't deserve this. Okay, so let's stop using that as a justification for things that are totally unrelated. Right? And I'm not saying don't talk about it and talk about policy changes in response to that. Yes, but let's not bring on the Prime Minister of Pakistan uncontested to give his thoughts and feelings about what Canada should do about internet freedoms and use their bodies as justification. Can we just not do that? So on the Rosemary Barton scale, again, it's broken. It's literally over 9,000. Like the number just kept going up. My head was exploding watching it. Then it blew up. So I don't know what the actual number is. Like it's off the scale. Actual off the scale in bias and stupidity. So this is the worst CBC of all time. Like, never mind June, like this could be seen any day. This is the worst of the CBC, Pakistan edition. Pakistan level stupidity. Freaking Rosemary Barton.